behind the racing at Santa Anita this weekend. Boys to finish an undefeated season. Breeders' Cup World Championships coming today at 5 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. All leading up to the $6 million Classic. That's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on NBC. Work still continuing on the 18 of Kyle Busch. That's a backup car. His first lap out on the track. Didn't even get to the green flag and went into the wall in turn 4. Dave.
And Rick, as Kyle sits watching practice and learning, gathering data that he can look at there on the computer screen, the crew is going hard to work on this backup car. They took the 4 shocks, the front sway bar off of the old car, put it on this car. And of course, there's some ride height things, Steve, as you know, as it goes down the road in the hauler that they have to figure out once they get here, because it wants to ride a little bit lower to the track once they get here. But the other interesting, I'm trying to think what the other interesting thing was here that I was so focused on, but the camera crew. We've got our onboard cameras here for the broadcast on Sunday that also had to come off the backup car and go back on this car. So a lot of work going on. People trying not to trip over each other and get it done as quickly as possible so Kyle can get back on track.
And that's probably low on the priority for the 18 team to allow those guys to get the cameras on there, but they're already on.
Again, they're on it.
That's quick.
In car.
Kevin Harvick back out on track. Initially a 10-lap run for Kevin Harvick. And now back out onto the track.
So watch this racetrack as we ride along. We talked about how rough it is and how slick it is. The goal right here is to stay out as long as you can. Try to get close to the bottom. Kevin's trying to run the middle of the racetrack. Really the first one, we talked about the 88 maybe being up the racetrack a little bit. Kevin Harvick kind of running the middle, the low middle in 3 and 4, but still pinned right on the bottom in turn 1. Big bump right here. Another bump right there.
They will call it done. So we'll bring that back into the garage. He was out there, it was a 4-lap run initially for Kevin Harvick. He was out there, I think, when Kyle Busch got into the wall, so that ended his first run, and then went back out again, now out for a 3rd time. As we're riding along with Joey Logano in his first run, had a little bit of tire rub on the left rear, doesn't seem to be an issue anymore.
And you're seeing Texas right here, 22's kind of in and out of gas, but you see how much traffic affected him. He's going to go ahead and pull off here, I think, and come to pit road, but you saw up ahead of him those 2 cars running. That's when we talk about options, the multiple grooves. That's one thing that Texas truly affords these competitors. As you mentioned, Jeff, you can move up the racetrack, and not only for fresh asphalt, but sometimes just more importantly that clean air. You know, you don't want to follow a car around here in their wake. This racetrack's rough on tires, rough on equipment. Very abrasive surface.
You mentioned tire rub earlier. I'm sure Joey Logano didn't want to experience what he experienced a year ago.
Early in the race as well. Remember, it was really early.
There was 9 tire issues in this race last year. And Joey Logano was in a tough situation after coming off the Martinsville race.
And that's an age-old question. You know, what is Goodyear's role within this sport? You know, some would argue that they need to build a tire that you can't damage, that probably is low on grip. I'm the opposite. As a crew chief, I always thought it was better for Goodyear to build a tire that has a reasonable amount of grip, but you have to manage as a driver and as a crew chief so you don't hurt the tire. You know, Goodyear does a wonderful job of bringing the tire to these wide variety of racetracks we go to, but Texas perhaps is one of the toughest because today in qualifying trim, these cars are going to be running ridiculously fast, mid to low 27-second laps. So you have to have a tire that's capable of withstanding those loads, but then 5 or 8 laps in a run, Jeff, you're going to slow down over a second. So you kind of trying to figure out a match of best of both worlds.
Yeah, and sometimes you run over something. There's nothing you can do. Right. But there's other times that the teams exceed what the tire can be given. You know, you too low air pressure. We know there's some racetracks that you just love running low left side air pressure. We'll see left rear tire problems, left front tire problems, over camber. There all those things. The teams are going to push it to a limit. The problem is, nobody believes they're doing something that isn't going to work. You don't realize it until after the problem.
Or it's too late. Because guess what? I start the weekend with, all right, this is my safety area. Then you beat me, Rick. So then I go a little closer to the edge. And I get faster. Right. Then I get a little closer to the edge. So then what do you do halfway through the race? If I know that pound of air is going to be faster, pretty good chance I'm going to start taking it out of the tires and try to find that speed.
Tony Stewart on and off the track. And this will be his final starts at Texas Motor Speedway in the Sprint Cup Series after he is retiring from Sprint Cup Series competition at the end of the season. Eddie Gossage, track president, informed us that 30,000 Tony Stewart bobblehead dolls will be given out to the first 30,000 fans in attendance on Sunday. On the back of Big Hoss, they actually have the number 14 lit up. You can see at night.
And now they only have 29,990 because we.
That's true. We did. We all got. We got 10 of them this morning.
The math was right, wasn't it?
Pretty quick. And the 11 now is making his way out onto the track.
So he coming to the green. Let's see if he runs a little bit higher. 3 and 4 coming to the green. There you go. Way up the racetrack, trying to carry that momentum to the green flag. It's going to leave on the bottom. Doesn't quite trust the outside on corner exit yet. If it doesn't work on the outside on corner exit, you hit something pretty hard. So he turned the car down just a little bit just to make sure the track was ready. It's right here. It's first time on the racetrack, Q trim. He's evaluating the car, trying to make adjustments so when he goes into turn 3, not car adjustments, but driver adjustments. When he goes into turn 3, what he needs to do with the handling that he has. He may be tight, he may be loose. He didn't know that until he went through 1 and 2.
Has Joe Gibbs Racing's lack of wins in the chase surprised you two at all? As far as we saw during the season, the Toyotas and Joe Gibbs Racing seemed fairly dominant and yet to win in this chase.
Well, I think it's a testament to the other teams that have stepped up their game. I think that Joe Gibbs had basically beat up on the competition all summer. But here in the last few, someone has to win these races, and I think Hendrick Motorsports in the 48 team has stepped up. Kevin Harvick, Penske, I think is faster, so it's been they're kind of handing around the victories.
Fastest car currently for a lap in Texas is Ryan Blaney in the 21. And Blaney right out of the gas after he crossed the finish line.
Yeah, so Steve, we talked about how rough this track is on tires. Blaney's first time out on the racetrack, he won at a 27.96. So the second time he goes out on the same tires, he runs a 28.50. So over a half a second from the first run to the second run. That becomes very difficult to know, did we make the car better? Did we make the car worse? Is it the tires? It's very difficult to know when you have these cycle tires if you made the car better or worse.
And Jeff, that's one of the things a lot of drivers are talking about. And it's kind of like Darlington. We talk about how rough the surface is here at Texas, and it's not quite as rough as Darlington. But Steve, you know this as a crew chief. When you go out and you cycle these tires, you put them through a heat cycle, you warm them up, cool them back down. The car handles differently when you go back out there. So are you adjusting to the tire, or are you adjusting the chassis on the race car? That's what a lot of drivers are questioning right now. They say when they go back out, it makes the car handle completely different.
Yeah, and remember later today, qualifying, Marty, this is multiple round qualifying, so while you have to be good on new tires to advance to the round of 24, then again to the round of 12 to sit on the pole, that'll be at least your third run on the tires, so you're going to have to adjust to those older tires.
Yeah, and that's really, Marty and Steve, both, that's where the driver just has to tell the team, yes, that made it better, or it was worse. And the driver has to feel it. You're no longer looking at the watch. You're no longer looking at time and scoring to know if that was an improvement or not. You're listening to the driver. Was it better or was it not? The driver's got to be the one at this point to make that decision.
You mentioned that Carl Edwards was in a predicament, being down 32 points to the cut line, coming to a racetrack where he's won 3 times. That could definitely help for Carl Edwards' goal of getting into the championship 4. Different strategies. Some are making qualifying runs, others are on race runs. As we look at the best 5-lap average, that's Kevin Harvick on top.